Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So we're back with another interesting one. We're back with a Zeri supplementary guide. And you guys can see the build looks a little bit weird, but don't worry, I'll be explaining it really soon. But as you guys can see, we didn't go for Triforce in this build, and we decided to instead go for crit items and then into STERAK'S gauge. And personally, I still think the Triforce build is great, and I'm not sure whether between this build or that build or the Triforce build is better. I personally think the Triforce build is still better, but this is kind of like an alternative build that I sort of theory crafted and I tried it out, and it turns out it worked pretty well. But one of the reasons why you'll see in the gameplay later of that particular game is because I got pretty fed at the beginning, so I scaled up really quickly, and this may not work very well in every game. But let's not talk too much about that. We can talk a little bit more about that in the gameplay. Let's first talk about what the build actually is. So, first up, what you don't see is we're not starting Runan's Hurricane. That would be a bit troll. We're starting BF Sword. So BF Sword, of course, gives you 40 AD. And this 40 AD is pretty huge because it costs only 1500 gold. Whereas to get 50 AD with the Bloodthirster or 55 AD with the IE, it costs like way more. Let's see. So Bloodthirster is 3300 and IE is 3400, I believe. At 3400, that's right. So you're getting like, you know, majority of the AD for like less than half of the cost of these items. So that's why we first up go for the BF Sword for that initial injection of AD. Now this is really important for the early lane. This helps you CS more easily. It helps you do damage to enemies more easily, because if you just get attack speed and etc., it's not really gonna do very much. So it's only after we get this BF Sword that now we can go into the Runan's Hurricane. So this will give you the crit and the attack speed as well as the spread to all champions, not all champions, but the 3 champions around the one that you're attacking. And then for the boots, we always go for the Boots of Fury because we don't have Triforce in this build, we don't have that Rage passive, so we want to get it from here on the Boots of Fury. And of course, as usual, it's between Stasis and QSS as to which will be your enchant, depending on how much CC there is on the team, on the enemy team that is. So next up we go for Bloodthirster. Now honestly, you could go for IE before Bloodthirster if you preferred as well, but I found that both ways work just about as well, more or less. And so I decided to go for Bloodthirster as my second item. So I go for the Bloodthirster, of course, for the AD, even more AD for the crit, and of course mainly for the physical vamp in terms of 15% physical vamp as well as that extra shield. And then after that we complete our IE, which is going to give us the extra crit damage as well as the crit rate. And generally I always go for these same first 3 items unless I'm fighting like into 3 tanky champs or what, then I might go for LDR earlier. But generally in this meta, every game has like a tank champion, so what you want to do is as a 4th item you want to get the LDR. So LDR of course gives you the penetration, puts you to 100% crit, a little bit more AD, and of course that rapid shot passive. And if you wanted to, you could swap this out with Navori Quick Blades as well if you prefer, like if there is very little to no tankiness on the enemy team, which as I said again is really rare in the current meta. But if that's the case, you can go for Navori Quick Blades. And for the final item we go for STERAK'S gauge. So STERAK'S gauge of course now can be built on ADCs, and this is pretty huge because it gives you 400 max HP, which increases your survivability by a ton. You don't have any other health here, and then you also get your extra 50% base AD as bonus AD. And don't forget that Zeri is an ADC, her AD scales up really well, so this is gonna give you a lot of extra AD. Now you might be wondering, but hey, you know, Lifeline gives you a shield equal to 75% of your bonus HP that decays over 3 seconds, so where's the bonus HP? Well, it's going to come purely from STERAK'S gauge itself. So 75% of your 400 max HP is actually like 300 max HP. So that's actually where the bonus HP comes from, and you're going to get a 300 HP shield, which is a pretty decent shield. So of course you also get the STERAK'S Fury, which of course when you trigger a Lifeline you get a little bit of increased size and tenacity, which of course with tenacity we do want, size we don't. And just for the shield comparison, you get 300 shield from STERAK'S itself, whereas on Phantom Dancer you get scaling shield from 240 to 600. So you might think that, hey, isn't Phantom Dancer a way better item in terms of getting a shield for Zeri? Well, in terms of the shield, yes, the shield in Phantom Dancer is way better, but the stat line in Phantom Dancer kind of sucks. And it's also a crit item, so you're gonna have to give up like a crit item to build Phantom Dancer, because it doesn't make sense to build 5 crit items. You can't give up your like 3 core items, and LDR is an item you cannot necessarily give up in every single match. And if you're choosing between Navori and Phantom Dancer, Navori is just way better because getting more dashes is more important than getting that one-time shield. So this basically makes Phantom Dancer a bad item for Zeri because it competes with other crit items. So even though it does give more shield than STERAK'S gauge, STERAK'S gauge gives you a lower shield, however it gives you other stats like tenacity, like health for more survivability, and even more AD. So those are all the kind of stats that Zeri wants. She doesn't want any more attack speed, she doesn't want any more crit. That's why STERAK'S gauge, in my opinion, is better. And for the runes and spells, it's pretty much just all the same. Lethal Tempo, Hunter Vampirism for the lifesteal, Bone Plating for the anti-burst, and Hunter Genius for the extra CDR. And then we go for Ghost, not Ghost, we go for Exhaust Flash or Exhaust Ghost, depending on the matchup. So all that out the way, we can talk about the gameplay. Okay, so here we're gonna jump straight into the gameplay. Now this, as you guys can see, is obviously a legendary rank match. Can't see the nameplates of pretty much anyone in this match, but we got a pretty wonky team, I guess you could say. Like we have like a Shen jungle, which is normal. We have a Yasuo mid, so we don't really have magic damage, but instead we have like a Brand for magic damage as support, and we have a Rammus top. So anyways, back to our usual, it's not even a ward trick at this point, it's just pretty normal, like you just control ward the bush. I don't know why they put both of their wards into this bush that they know is control warded, but anyways, we remove both of their wards. We are gonna lose the control ward really soon though, because it's a Caitlyn and a Senna. They both have extremely long range, and they can easily just shove us in and remove the ward, which you're gonna see like momentarily, like right here probably. So here we're playing Zeri and Brand. So Zeri really cannot do anything much against a Caitlyn, but the good thing is that you can just play safe and farm. Like Caitlyn can't really harass you too much if you're just staying under tower and playing safe. Here Brand decides to play aggressive and fight the Senna, and he does end up dying for it. But I do get the trade kill onto Senna, so in my eyes that is a pretty good trade, because you know, trading support, trading their support for a kill on me, and especially Senna got the kill and not Caitlyn, which arguably Senna is still a ADC, so it's not like that great either. But you know, hey, getting a kill on Zeri in the early game is amazing, so I guess I'm not gonna complain too much about that. So anyways, back to the laning conversation. Zeri wants to play safe against Senna and Caitlyn, because Senna and Caitlyn's main strength is their range and their ability to harass. Like most people don't think about, when they think about Senna, they don't think about that, but Senna actually harasses people really well, because she has, like, aside from Caitlyn, she has the second longest base range in the game, tied with Ashe. So she can actually harass people pretty easily, like with just auto attacks and with her Qs as well. So they both have really long range. You can see that Brand is already kind of getting destroyed, just doing nothing basically. So what we really want to aim to do here is we want to just stay safe and minimize the poke that we take. Alright, definitely gonna get poked like Caitlyn Qs, like by Senna Qs, and by their auto attacks as well. But what we're basically just trying to do here is to minimize the amount of poke we take to keep ourselves in a relatively healthy state. This will achieve two things. Firstly, it will dissuade their jungle from ganking us, because we're not like that low, and we don't really we're not like easy to kill. And secondly, it will encourage our jungle to come and help us, like in a sense that, you know, we actually are not 1 HP and we can actually follow up if he comes to help. Now, unfortunately though, in this situation, Brand doesn't really get the memo, so Brand's playing a little bit too aggressive in my opinion. Like, we're losing the trades, because even if Brand gets a good combo off, generally they can retaliate across the next couple of seconds with a bunch of poke. Over here though, I actually get a pretty good trade onto Senna, because she steps up and I was able to land quite a few stuff on her. Here Ahri comes in, I'm able to dodge the charm, but unfortunately Brand dies. So this is kind of what I was referring to. Brand lost half his HP already, and when the jungle comes to gank, they can easily get a kill. In this case, it wasn't even the jungle, it was the mid laner. Speaking of which, our jungle has now come in to gank, misses the flash taunt, and we both end up getting rooted by the Senna, and both of them managed to escape scot-free, which is kind of a very unfortunate situation. But you know what's happened has happened, and yeah, I probably could have dodged the root there, and if that was the case, I might have been able to chase down the Senna, but unfortunately that was not what happened, so we end up not really getting anything out of that gank. But once again, if you guys can see, we're just playing very safe. We're 1-0-0, doing really well. We have a BF sword, and we're now building towards the Runaan's Hurricane, and we're about halfway towards Runaan's Hurricane. So for now, we're basically just doing we're doing fine. So you know, also keeping in mind that Senna is going to take a long time to scale up, and Caitlyn is going to fall off in the mid game before, you know, once again becoming good in the late game. So as long as we don't let Caitlyn get fed, there won't be an issue of the mid game, like she's destroying us in the mid game. That won't be an issue. So for now, you guys can see we're just playing safe and charming. Like if you guys notice, like what I'm doing in particular, like not the brand, I've basically done next to nothing to them at all, and this isn't really a problem. You don't necessarily always have to put pressure on enemies or attack, especially if you're in a disadvantageous position. So I'm really just staying and clearing the waves, making sure I pick up every single piece of CS that I can. Managed to get hit by the root there again, but nothing too much comes of it. So here, Kha'Zix, you can see he's in the top lane, so this is actually a relatively good time to do Dragon, because he has just gotten the kill in the top lane. He's obviously, he was channeling Recall just now, but he has decided against it, and he's going for Herald instead. You can see that he pathed from bot down to the Herald area, so we can only assume that he's going for Herald. Like if he randomly shows up on Dragon, he would probably have been caught by the minions like walking down. So here he basically trades Herald for Dragon, which is a fine trade in my opinion. I think both have their pros and cons. But his team tried to actually contest the Dragon, which is pretty strange decision, because the jungle is not around. There's nothing too much you can do. I know Senna's there, so I'm walking away. Brand eats the root instead, but does manage to full combo onto Senna, allowing us to get the kill. Shen comes in, and we are able to also get a kill onto Caitlyn. So once again, we're playing very slow, we're playing very patient, we're not forcing any kind of like fights. Here Kha'Zix hops in and manages to get the kill onto the Brand. I exhaust him, so he cannot really do too much more damage to us. And we're just gonna shove in this wave, and then we can just back and buy ourselves a couple items. Now we have no mana here at all, so we're pinging the Shen back, and I'm pinging him that I don't have any mana, so I can't really help him even if a fight breaks out 2v1 against the Kha'Zix. So here we do manage to pick up the Runaan's Hurricane as well as our boots, and once again, we're not really that strong yet. Need to get to like, you know, 3 items to like really be strong, but at 2 items we're gonna be relatively fine. Our team is overall just doing very well in general. Like I'm doing well, Yasuo is winning as well. Unfortunately, Rammus is semi-feeding against the Garen, but Garen at the end of the day is a tank, so it's not the worst situation in the world. So here we try to go in, manage to get the kill onto Caitlyn as well as Senna, but Shen does die for it. Overall, it's a 1-for-2 trade, so it is definitely a trade that is in our favor. Bran tries to catch out the Ahri, and because of the Ahri is really low, she's 1 HP, so I'm just blasting through the tower to ensure that she cannot back, just pretty much just to irritate her a little bit. We can't really kill her under the tower, but anyways, we pick up the tower, and so does Yasuo. So Shen is also doing pretty alright. It's really mainly the Rammus that isn't doing too good. I mean, you could argue the Brand isn't doing too well either, but the Brand has been putting, like, pretty much helping the lane quite a bit. Like, if I had a different support, the lane would have been quite a bit harder, because Brand at least can harass them a little bit. Now here I make a fatal mistake of trying to stay under tower to collect CS. Now unfortunately I get hit by the root, which was my main fatal mistake. I get full combo by the Caitlyn, and Caitlyn just kills me under tower, which is pretty sad. I mean, I'm a Caitlyn player myself, so I definitely know what Caitlyn can do, and I did know that I was in Caitlyn's kill range if I got full combo. My theory was that it was really difficult to hit her E and her Q onto me under tower, and I could easily dodge left and right. However, the one thing that I didn't dodge was the center root, which of course guaranteed that Caitlyn landed pretty much everything else at that point, and because of that I just died, so that's just really unfortunate on my end. But yeah, even though the Brand's KDA is not too good, he has really been helping in mine lane a lot, in a sense that without him around, like, they would be permanently at full HP, so he's just there throwing spells, creating pressure and kill threat onto them. So even though he's not doing well in terms of KDA, he has helped the lane quite a bit, and without the Brand support, I wouldn't have been able to you know, do so well like I am now. So, you know, I'm not gonna complain about the Brand at all. So here we're just clearing out the waves. Nothing too exciting happening here. It's still match has been pretty boring so far. You know, Zeri's all about like farming in the first like 10 minutes and trying to get to your item power spikes, and then the action can start happening. Of course, there have been those matches where there has been a lot of action at the start of the game, and you know, sometimes matches do go like that, so sometimes it's kind of just out of your control. Anyways, here a kind of fight breaks out where Shen was trying to get a pick, but the Senna ends up surviving for way longer than anybody really expected. And here the fight continues. I ult, and Yasuo ults the Caitlyn as well. We managed to finish off the kill on the Caitlyn, and now I'm trying to chase for Ahri and Garen. I tried to go over the red buff wall here, but I kind of end up landing in the red buff pit instead, which is not exactly what I had planned. But either way, it kind of works out, and from this we can kind of transition to the Herald. Now here I did not actually see the Kha'Zix in here. If you guys didn't, I probably didn't notice this, but you saw I W'd the Herald there, and I was like walking, and actually in this time what I was actually doing here is I was opening the scoreboard to check what was happening. I honestly didn't even notice the Kha'Zix was attacking me until I was like 1 HP and Shen ulted me. Like, that was when I noticed that the Kha'Zix was attacking me. But thankfully, with the help of the Shen ult as well as the Brand stun, we managed to survive and kill the Kha'Zix. So my team really bailed me out there on that one, because I didn't even notice that he was attacking me. A relatively good trap by Kha'Zix for that reason. So here with the Herald secured, next up we have the Dragon. So unfortunately here, Shen finds himself in trouble, and Shen actually dies. Now this puts a huge spanner in the works, because without Shen we cannot contest the Dragon, because if we do Dragon, Kha'Zix is just going to steal it. So we get a pick onto Ahri, and it's pretty much a 1-for-1, but they still have their jungler whereas we don't. So here what I'm trying to do is I'm actually trying to delay time. You see, we're picking a fight here, we're trying to delay a little bit of time. Kha'Zix is also a half HP, so he's not in the healthiest state. However, you can see here I'm pinging retreat because I don't think that it's a good idea for my team to do Dragon. Now I see that Shen is respawned and Shen has ult. So here I'm committing to the Dragon, because Shen, as you guys can see, he can ult into the pit and he can be here for the Dragon. Kha'Zix tries to come in for the steal, but Shen manages to secure the Dragon. Here we're pretty much on the chase for the rest of their team, and I pick up a double, both of them using my Qs at max range. And here we basically wipe the whole enemy team with the exception of the Ahri, but it's not very big of a deal. Ahri by herself can't really defend too well. So here we drop the Herald, and we are aiming to get the mid lane inhibitor. Wind Wall comes up from Yasuo to prevent Ahri from doing any kind of significant damage at all. So we don't need to be there for the Herald to collide. So we're just going to let the Herald do its thing, and then we're going to back. The enemy team is all starting to respawn, and we can't really secure that inhib anymore. So, you know, don't be too greedy, and we'll be back off here. I also get my QSS as well as my second component of the IE, so we're almost at that 3 items. So as with like the tradition, we're going to start farming like all the jungle camps and getting as much farm as possible. I picked assistance on the red buff, and I'm trying to wait for Shen to take the red buff, which he does, and then I'm gonna be able to get myself a copy of the red buff as well, and then I'm gonna move on to farming the Krugs. Fortunately, Shen comes over and last hits the big one. I managed to eventually get half of the Krugs. So here, we're trying to get a pick on Caitlyn, but Brand unfortunately got slowed. Caitlyn decides to turn back. I don't think that was the best idea. I think that she actually had a decent chance of escaping if she continued running straight down and getting hit by the Brand W. Like, because she tried to dodge the Brand W, she ends up getting in range for Shen's taunt, and ends up and because she got taunted by Shen, I end up getting in range to actually kill her. So I think that she probably should have continued running up and threw the Brand W, and that would have given her a better chance, because the only other way we catch up is if Brand lands his stun onto her afterwards, which is a little bit challenging considering that the distance between them, like the stun would have been at like max range. So anyways, after that we're gonna go over, we be back, we pick up the IE. So now we're now at the 3 iron power spike. We're going to the jungle, we're farming the wolves, we're farming the Krugs, and then we're going to the wave, we're farming the wave as well. Zeri is all about farming. And here, you know, Brand's really nice. He's not taking the wave, he's letting me take the wave, so you know, I'm giving him the emote. And here Yasuo unfortunately does get shut down. I was pinging him not to fight, but unfortunately that was not the case, and he ended up picking a fight, and he ends up dying like 1v4. Rammus tries to engage onto the Senna, which he does. I'm able to follow up. Here I QSS Ahri's charm because I was afraid of some follow-up, but turns out there was none, so no real need to QSS the Ahri charm there. Garen is a really tanky champ, and I don't really do very much damage to him at this point because I don't really have the LDR yet. I mean, I do some damage to him, but it's just not a very significant amount. Thankfully though, he has not yet gotten himself the Amaranth Twin Guard. I believe he's building towards it now because he does have the Chain Vest and a Null Magic Mantle at the moment. So I think that he is indeed building towards that now, but he hasn't have it completed yet. So here we're trying to get a pick onto all of them. Here I go in with the ulti, Shen goes in as well. We are able to finish off the Garen. And then here I see Kha'Zix jumping in, so I'm dashing over the wall to make sure that I won't die to him. Thankfully, I am able to flash back in and secure the kill onto the Kha'Zix as well. Brand manages to finish off the Senna, and here I'm on the chase for the Caitlyn. E manages to get her out of range. Yasuo goes ham and goes in under the tower, gets the kill on Caitlyn, gets the kill on Ahri, but does die to both of the towers. So whether that was worth or not is debatable. But I guess he did get Ahri shut down, and he didn't have a shutdown himself anymore. That does allow me and Brand to secure double inhib though, because I can secure top inhib, and with the huge minion wave, Brand can secure mid inhib. So at the end of the day, I guess that's not too bad. And the whole enemy team, once again, they are respawning, so we're hightailing it out of there, and we are gonna quickly just return to the base. And here I am able to buy the entire LDR off with all of those kills from the fight. So I pick up the LDR, and now I'm at 100% crit, and I even have enough to get the Joram's Fist to start building towards the STERAK'S gauge. So here red buff is up. Now I already do have a red buff, but you know, it's gonna like expire after a while anyways. Maybe should have given the red buff to Yasuo actually, but it's a little bit too late for that now. So here dragon is spawning in a bit, and we already have double dragon, so trying to secure triple dragon. Place the control ward right into the pit to ensure that there is no enemy vision here. In the meanwhile, while waiting for the dragon to spawn, I already have blue buff, but once again, this is about denying the enemy team the blue buff. A fight breaks out here instead of us doing the dragon, which is kind of not what we would want. But anyways, Caitlyn randomly ults me there. I'm not too sure what happened. Probably was a misclick, and we end up securing the kill on Caitlyn. Kha'Zix jumps in, and I quickly exhaust him, and we end up killing pretty much everybody here except the Garen. So here I was thinking of what to do. I realized that we cannot really push for an end because Garen is there to defend. I was thinking that Shen can pick up the dragon by himself here, so I'm just gonna back and pick up some health basically, and then we can you know, secure the dragon. However, Rammus goes in on the Garen and he finds himself in trouble, so Shen has to ult the Rammus to help him out, and together you know, we have 2 tanks versus 2 tanks, so together our 2 tanks is able to kill their 1 tank. And now I'm going to end up soloing the dragon by myself instead, which is not too big of a problem for me. But it does take a little bit of time, but no one is contesting, so it doesn't really matter. Anyways, we are able to secure the dragon itself, and Rammus and Shen are able to escape with their lives, which is probably the most crucial detail in this entire thing, because we have Baron up and we are really far ahead as a team, so we probably are able to like force Baron in this circumstance and force the enemy team to come to us, and if they do that, we can either kill them or secure the Baron or both. So here pick up quite a bit of minions, and because of that I finally have enough to get my STERAK'S gauge. So I'm backing to get my STERAK'S gauge, and I'm paying that I'm going Baron afterwards. And here STERAK'S gauge completed, so we're completely full build at this point in time, including the STERAK'S gauge. And now we are headed over to the Baron, where our team has basically managed to almost secure it without us, because Yasuo has insane DPS. Ari manages to hit the charm, but doesn't really matter, we do secure the Baron. Hopping the wall here to see if there's anyone that we can pick. Unfortunately, it's only the Garen, who is the least valuable target. And another red buff is up for grabs. Gonna pick up this red buff. And yeah, so here, huge fight breaks out. Here I come in with the ulti. I'm trying to finish off multiple people. So here we get 2 kills, 3 kills, and pretty much the game is over at this point. Only Kha'Zix is left, and he's on the fountain. Tried to kill him on the fountain, but I was just keen to end the game, so we just end the game, we win the game. And yeah, so I'm gonna leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.